What is going on, everybody? It is episode 677 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name's Brett, and I am here once again with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, crisis actors. It's Mary. We are not alone today. Thank heavens, Libby is here to join us on the show.
Hey guys, glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we were alone yesterday because Dane was busy or something.
Like he has a life outside of going on our show.
Imagine that,
That's
guys.
crazy.
How you doing today?
I'm not bad.
Doing good?
You know, hanging in.
Running around getting stuff done before coming here?
Yeah, running around. Well, no, I was running around my house getting stuff. I've been, at work.
Busy?
Have you been watching like all of the DNC?
Let's see. Monday I fell asleep while Biden was talking, which I don't think
I mean, it was like 11.
Understandable.
It was like 11:30 at night.
It was really late,
For him too.
But yeah, I've been watching a lot of it. We've been clipping some of it at Post Millennial, some of the more ridiculous things. I watched Michelle Obama, which was really
bad.
Yeah, really bad. I mean, she delivered her speech really well, and it was a good speech, but she didn't say anything, so it was infuriating. It was very well done. It was artful. It was, all of the things that it was supposed to do, but it had absolutely no substance to it. And that's been
isn't that all of them?
The whole week. That's been the entire week.
Yeah.
We are on the precipice of change.
Right.
When you stand up for what's right, you believe in what's right.
You open the door to the future.
Yeah,
and it's
it's just a billion different iterations of that.
It's whenever this stuff goes on, look, Olivia loves to watch speeches and politics. She loves it. And you realize why I could never do that job, even with the job, even with the company that I work for, because while Biden was talking, I was just pulling my hair out and screaming.
At least
too.
Biden likes to talk about issues, though.
Well, he tries.
But
he tries to talk about issues. No one else was trying.
With every lie. Okay, look. I said to you yesterday. I said I have more respect for an evil politician who can trick a bunch of idiots into believing their stuff. I was like, at least you're good at being evil. Okay, it's the people who fall for it that I have a particular disdain for these days. Not as much as I hate the politicians, but
the politicians
in general
are far worse than the people.
Well, yes, but I'm saying but in the moment, my anger was towards the people who fall for it.
Well, it's not their fault they're dumb.
Yes, it is.
They were born that way.
No, it's their fault that they're dumb, right? So,
they're not even dumb. They're just not interrogating their beliefs. They're not interrogating these. They're not asking questions. Why do I think this, which is totally contradictory from this? I wonder what I really think.
Curiosity is a symptom of intelligence, which they don't have.
I hate that. I hate that for us.
It's also worse if you go and you interact with so a lot of the pop culture the pop culture Twitter accounts will also Pop Crave is at the DNC right now, or Pop Base is at
which is
DNC.
crazy. I guess it's because they had Kenan Thompson, they had Mindy Kaling,
and when they posted Michelle Obama talking about not taking more than you need and not understanding what that means,
not having Goldilocks syndrome,
but not understanding that how it ties into policies related to unrealized gains and things like that, and not understanding that what they're essentially trying to do is taxing you out of any desire to even try to get ahead in the world, and seeing the comments be "she ate." I just want to just throw my phone.
Or calling Nancy Pelosi brat.
That is so stupid.
Look, and I'm not going to lie. I feel the same about the weird cultish stuff that happens around Trump sometimes, right, too?
It's not this. It's not I'm biased,
same.
But I know it's not this bad.
And it's not the same either. Yeah. It's a different type of political worship that's at least tied to understanding politics as a whole, rather than just showing up as a tourist every 4 years to say that sounds good and then go back to accepting a bunch of policies that make your life worse for you. But it's a problem of my own, and it's my own fault that I can't engage with this stuff without getting angry. It's actually a shortcoming of my own that I need to work on, where when I hear this stuff I just see red.
Yeah, you're becoming a Fox News boomer way too early in life.
Yeah, don't let it happen.
Well, no, because I hate Fox News too.
What I mean by that is, letting yourself get rage baited by the media.
Well, and letting yourself get rage baited by the Democrats who really just want everyone to go out and do a terrorism so that they can institute martial law and take over even more.
The media has always infuriated me, but it's when the politicians, the fact that Snopes recently did the whole thing about the Very Fine People hoax, and then he used it at the speech, that infuriates me. But it infuriates
injecting bleach.
It infuriates infuriates me more that people fall for it.
Well, because it's part, but they say all that stuff because it's part of. I was on IRL last night and we were talking about it, and they say all that stuff because it's literally part of their catechism, right? That Trump called for a bloodbath if he doesn't win is part of their catechism. It's part of their scripture. They wrote it down and they worship these words from on high, even though they're total lies.
I can't. And the amount of, like, at the very least, you should be willing to interrogate, like you said, your own beliefs and your own things. When I saw the people wearing the fake ear covers after Trump got shot, I was like, you're weird. You're weird.
Weird.
You're weird. And you should be willing to criticize both sides and hold them accountable. But I guess I can't vote for Ron Paul because people will attack me online if I said I was going to vote right in Ron Paul, right? Because if you don't, then, Cat Turd and everybody on the internet will come for you.
But you also don't have to tell people who you're voting for necessarily.
Well, I laughed at that because it's, again, I don't sit there and talk about it online, so it's very, very different. It's a more internal battle that I have with myself about these types of things, because as uninteresting as I find a lot of it, the human response to it is what I find the most fascinating, because they've been getting away with it for so long with platitudes. That's what it is, right? It's the platitudes.
It's the rhetoric. It's the propaganda. It's the insistence on being right,
Mary will hear all the time when politicians say things, then I'm like, they're not actually saying anything. They're like, well, I'll be whining to her like before the show, like, they're not actually saying anything. They're just saying a bunch of words, and then people clap like seals, arf, 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 arf. And I'm like, what is better? Like, what is better now? Nothing is better. So,
well, that's a very we've got
to. I mean, we've got DNC stuff to get into today, so
later.
it is relevant. So, guys, before we get started, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? If you dislike politicians as much as I do, you should subscribe to the channel. You really should. And remember to hit the notification bell and share the video with your friends, your family, your loved ones, people you hate, Fox Boomer dads, and CNN aunts. You should share these videos with them.
It's for everyone.
It's for everyone, guys. And remember that all super chats, $20 and over, we will interrupt the discussion and we will read those super chats right then and there. Perhaps you can tell me why all of these politicians are actually doing a great service for humanity, and you want to tell us in the super chats. You can do that if you want to. So what are we going to talk about today? We got a bunch of stuff to get into, but one of them, it came up yesterday, was that Andrew Tate's home was raided once again, and him and his brother were arrested. More claims are being made about them by the courts, and it looks like it's going to further his legal battle even farther.
Yeah, he's saying that he still denies all of the claims, but there are new allegations involving minors, which we'll get into. Very dark, but of course it's the Matrix, guys.
So we're gonna talk about it. So we're gonna talk about that. We're also gonna talk about Mary has a thesis for everyone. She says everyone. This is what she said, right? All poly people are ugly.
It's not an opinion.
And she will prove it here today.
It's not an opinion. It's a fact.
Yes.
All polyamorous people are ugly.
We're gonna. It's funny because television shows will do it, and they're always suspiciously good looking in the television shows.
Aren't
it seems
they?
like false advertising to me. It reminds me. There was an episode of Elementary where they had like a throuple, and it was like three good looking doctors, and I'm like, no.
And just not believable.
Not believable. So we're going to talk about that. Also, Alex Cooper, I almost said something else. Alex Cooper, host of the Call Her Daddy podcast, has decided to tell everybody about her STD journey.
Yeah. Oh, how awful.
And
why?
She told a story of how her husband was very supportive throughout her STD journey and married her anyway.
So she got the STD after she was married?
It was before she even met the guy that she had it. So yeah, we'll get into that.
You can't be a loving and caring husband if you don't accept somebody that has an STD. So
of course,
that's what they're saying.
Or else you're insecure.
So.
I was watching a clip the other day that was this trans person with a beard and really long hair saying that he had no feeling that he should divulge his HIV positive status.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw that too.
Did you see that?
California agrees because it's no longer a felony there.
It used to be illegal to do that, and it was actually a progressive thing to be like, you have to disclose because otherwise you're victimizing people.
And he's like, oh,
but
well,
now the people with HIV are the victims.
Like I'm undetectable, so therefore I can't spread it to people. Which I don't know. I mean, I guess
that was true with Magic Johnson. I mean, if he has Magic
but
Johnson's doctors,
yeah,
you know.
It's weird.
So it's gonna be a hell of a show today, guys. So if you guys are ready, we're gonna get into it. Mary, you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Libby.
Yeah, I'm all set.
All right, let's go first. We got some good news, at least, to start off the show today. So you remember MySpace back in the day?
No.
You'd click on their... Mary doesn't. Mary's too young. Back in the day, you'd click on your profile. You'd see the psychopathic rule where you could put top 8 friends, where you could alienate all the other people you know in your life. But there was another feature of MySpace that they had, which is that you could have a song playing right when you... Remember this?
Yeah,
well, now Instagram is introducing the same feature.
I have been waiting for this for years. I've always thought they should add this feature, and I'm so glad
It's
that
just like
here.
a song plays on your profile.
Yeah. I don't know if it automatically plays or if someone has to play it, but I'm so glad that this is a
What
thing.
song are you going to play?
I don't know. I'll probably change it every week.
Once a week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
New song?
They're not going to introduce top 8 though. That's not going to happen.
I can't
It's going to
imagine
cause
that
too
they
much
would.
drama.
Especially in today's day and age. It was different back in the day. Like, people were less terminally online back in the early 2000s. Now it will cause all sorts of problems.
Well,
Yeah, you'll end up with middle schoolers committing suicide because they got knocked out of the top 8.
they sort of had that when they introduced the close friends story, right? That's not the top 8 because you don't know who else is on it.
I'm not going to
But-
lie. Like, when I watch a story with something and it says close friends, I'm like, oh, that feels kind of
I'm
nice.
a close friend.
I feel special right now.
I'm special.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like this. I think they should let you like personalize a background and all of that. It taught millennials how to code.
Yeah, HTML. Yeah.
I obviously was not around for any of that.
Which
but-
is funny because last night, for the first time in a very like YouTube was just randomly like just showing me old music from like the early 2000s.
Oh, that's so fun.
Like, I was being sent songs by the Academy which I did. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. Music videos from the Academy
That's
And
crazy.
it says like, this video's 15 years old. I'm like, why is it on my front page?
Yeah.
Play it. I'm like, wow, I've been transported.
And the comments are always like, who's here in 2024?
Literally, that was all the comments. Literally, all the comments were that.
Yeah.
It's that or some boomer who's like 0% auto-tune, 100% talent, or something like that. And I did listen to a few of them, which it literally transported me back in time. Okay.
It was a simpler time.
It figuratively transported me back in time. It was good days. And there's even better news, ladies and gentlemen. So there's already way too many streaming services out there. I already have way too many of them, whether it's Apple TV, Peacock, Paramount Plus, Tubi, Freevee, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, all sorts of them. Get ready for the newest streaming service coming out, and that is, of course, from Chick-Fil-A.
Oh, how weird.
Yes. Apparently there was also a remember there was like a Walmart streaming service, but apparently there's like
Walmart Plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, everyone's looking to get into their own content. I like the idea of the Walmart one. I would pay to watch a channel that's literally just them catching shoplifters.
Well, whoever wrote this title is definitely going to get a raise.
Yes.
Chick-fil-A hatches plans for streaming service as reality TV comes home to roost.
Literally, they just pat on the back as soon as they were done writing this. Also, Variety, remember, Variety and Deadline are owned by the same company, and Variety's headline was so boring, it was like, Chick-fil-A launches streaming service. Yeah, of course. You have no creativity.
So
over there.
Chick-fil-A is like implicitly Christian still. They're planning to make family-friendly shows and unscripted content.
Like
so
Christian reality shows?
I don't know how that's going to work. It
Apparently-
includes a family-friendly game show. And then what else is there?
Did you know that Lyft and Airbnb apparently also had streaming services?
That's weird. Why? What do they need that for?
Lucky Lyft was a game show hosted by Bob the Drag Queen.
Okay.
Oh, I remember Bob the Drag Queen.
Okay.
I do not.
Airbnb, which previously produced documentaries Gay Chorus Deep South that aired on MTV. So everyone's looking to get, look, not everybody can be Amazon, who started out as a shipping service and became a streaming service as well.
Lucky Lyft is just Cash Cab,
Okay.
right? Sounds like it.
Believe it or not, I don't watch Lucky Lyft.
Did you ever watch Cash Cab?
No. In fact, no.
It was so good.
I think 2 weeks ago, Olivia asked me if I watched it. I had no clue what it was.
You had never seen it
I'd
before?
never seen it before.
It was a big deal. It was kind of Mr. Beast before Mr. Beast.
Okay. I had no clue what she was talking about.
Yeah, it was great.
Okay. What
was a
did you
moment.
do? You see, answer questions?
He was a cab driver. He
Okay.
legit like took people where they needed to go, but you could stay in the cab for longer, and it's a game show. And as he like got more passengers, you would be competing against the other passengers. It was like, yeah, a game show where you just win cash.
Was it on regular TV or cable?
I have no idea.
If it was on cable,
might have been early YouTube, but I don't remember now.
I didn't have cable back in the day, so
stuff.
if it was on cable, I didn't have it.
Sounds like Lucky Lift is the same concept from the name.
Yep.
But yeah. What I always appreciated about Chick-fil-A is that they don't play radio in their restaurants. They play like Chick-fil-A lo-fi. They have their own soundtrack.
To eat by?
And it's very peaceful. There are no vulgar lyrics.
Lo-fi chicken beats to eat by?
It's not distracting. I just really like it. They play like piano tracks.
Mr. Reborn in the chat says it was on MTV. See, I didn't have cable.
Oh, okay.
So it was already in an era where MTV wasn't playing music videos anymore.
I guess that wasn't part of your experience.
No, it's like when people mention like you didn't watch Nickelodeon. Like I did not have cable.
Catfish was the best thing that ever came out of MTV.
Catfish the show?
Yeah, it was so good.
I remember hearing about that, but I never saw it.
You should watch it.
Should I go back and watch it? I feel
because
like
it was
will
still
make
at
me
this
sad.
point in time in the culture before dating apps were a thing, and meeting someone online and dating online in general was still thought of as super weird and out
sketchy
there, and it attracted weird people.
My favorite part of watching old television shows is when they have to do the inevitable scene where some like cop who's been a cop for however many years has to admit that they've signed up for online dating, and then everybody makes fun of them.
I had friends who met on Friendster and got married.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay, so there was Friendster.
Although there was this crazy thing that happened.
What happened?
So she was Asian and he was this white guy, and they were married for a while, and then she went to a party with a bunch of his friends.
Okay.
And they were all white guys married to Asian women. And all of the Asian women at the party, including this woman who we worked together for a long time, she mentioned it to me, and she was like, we kind of all looked at each other and we kind of all had the same thought and decided we didn't really want to go there.
Like, why is this a thing
in
your
this
friend group?
thing in your friend group?
Were they all tech guys? Because I feel like if they're tech guys, it just makes more sense.
There was like engineers and tech guys and stuff.
Yeah, that makes a little bit of sense.
A little bit of
but
marketing.
It's like they're in a weird like fetish club almost.
Yeah, and
there's an entire Facebook group called like
weird.
Libertarian Guys with Asian Wives.
Right, like they could have been part of that, except they were leftists.
Yeah, I mean both are strange to me, because like, why do you care so much that your wife is Asian? Like, why are you making it into a thing? Like the idea is that it's not weird if you don't make it weird.
Well, yeah, like they all looked at each other and shared like a knowing glance and decided things go very differently if somebody broaches this topic.
Like, who's gonna say it first?
Whoever actually speaks through their vocal cords and puts this to words, puts the words out there into the world, creates problems for everybody in the group.
Right.
Yeah.
Another weird couple, Kanye West and Bianca Censori. They're back in the news again. Kanye recently stopped by a Trump rally in Beverly Hills, accompanied by his wife Bianca, and now her friends are reportedly terrified for her safety.
Why? Because they just now, like
They
just
believe
now, all of a sudden,
they believe that she is not a full-grown woman who can make her own choices, and that he's forcing her to do this stuff somehow.
Yes, they said Bianca's friends believe this is further proof that she has now been lost. She was not on board with the idea of stopping at a Trump rally. She is clearly not a conservative woman. Her overt display of sexuality and the fact that she believes a woman should be able to do whatever she wants with her own body isn't exactly on board with Republican beliefs.
I mean, I was told this week that Republican women can post bikini photos too, so what do I know?
Yeah, that's totally a Republican belief. Those closest to her are reportedly fearful that she has turned to alcohol to deal with the stress of her marriage, and they are now concerned with Kanye putting her in danger by stopping and winding his car window down at the Trump demonstration to talk to fans.
How does that put her in danger?
Yeah, I don't.
Is the MAGA hat gonna
because Trump supporters are dangerous extremists.
Okay.
This is after Kanye denounced Trump and spoke out against him, and after Kanye was called by Trump someone who needs help. And they asked, how is this safe? For the most part, Trump supporters and some Republicans believe it's okay for a man to decide what a woman should do, how she should behave, her role in the family, what she should and shouldn't wear, and how she should and shouldn't act. This is terrifying to her loved ones as they feel this is how Kanye seems to view women, or at least how he views Bianca.
This is why the left will always win, because that viewpoint is ingrained in just even the most apolitical person actually believes that.
Well, and but the real thing is this started, I mean, they were already, I guess, like talking about it, but it's because there was Trump involved. Like as soon as Trump's involved, everybody just freaks out, you know?
Yeah. Well,
did she always dress like this? And
Yes.
She was always a hoe, but I don't think she was
Kanye?
out
No,
naked.
so they were saying like there was the picture that was posted recently of her with the raincoat that was see-through, which I'm not going to show here because I don't know, with nothing underneath. Some people they were writing these elaborate Tumblr fan fictions about him controlling her and making her wear it, and people were pointing out that she wore that outfit before she met him.
Like a raincoat with nothing on.
Like she dressed like that before she met him. So why is it that when she does it on her own, it's okay, but when she does it in the company of him, it's not?
Right. I mean, I don't think that he's forcing her to dress like that.
Imagine believing that you have to force women in 2024 to dress like hoes.
Yeah,
Right?
no.
It's not easy.
She
It's like the
always dressed
default.
like a hoe before they met and after. I think it got a little more extreme after they got married, and it was a very fast moving relationship because he didn't want to have sex outside of marriage.
Oh, and so it was like, you better marry me.
Yeah.
I guess so, yeah. So after they went to Italy and got married, he seems to have kind of gone even more off the rails.
Yeah.
But I don't think she's being controlled or abused. I think this is what she wants, and I think she wants the wrong thing.
They
Yeah,
write
I think
these
that's
weird,
probably the right assessment.
they write these weird fan fictions that always revolve around the idea of men as abusers in these types of situations.
Is it like a weird fetish where they're like into it?
I don't know if it's that they're into it. It's the idea that they love the ability to demonize somebody through accusation that's written in this flowery, overly verbose language, as if you're reading something that was written by an author, right? But really what they're doing is they're taking a look at a single photo of a person walking in an outfit, and then it's like pareidolia. You see a bunch of stuff that isn't there, and then they write
We
that.
got a 20 from Not an Extremist, I Promise. Michael Malice was on Cash Cab. Worth watching. Hi, Libby.
What was the one that Alex Clark was on?
What, Alex Clark was on Cash
No,
Cab?
what was the reality show she was on?
She was on some dating reality show. I forget what it was called, but I think we... Did we react to a clip of her from the show?
When she was
on?
Yeah.
Yeah. They just, shipped them all onto an island and let chaos ensue, as dating reality shows are
In
wont
the
to
chat,
do.
Drum says Malice won Cash Cab. He thinks.
Really?
That's awesome if that's
Well,
true.
it was just trivia, right? They just got
should-
money for answering trivia questions.
If that's not in his Twitter bio, it should be.
Yeah, that's
Cash Cab winner.
That was his peak. But yeah, now her friends are worried she's not the person she was before Kanye. Her friends feel like they have lost her. It's all so tiresome, isn't it?
It is so tiresome.
We were talking about this before the show started.
The more interesting story is that she's using her sexual promiscuity to control him. That's the more interesting story. If we're making shit up that we can't possibly know, at least make up something that's not so derivative.
I know Kanye's unpredictable and, kind of unstable. At least that's how he seems to the public. But he definitely just doesn't seem like the type of guy who would be an abuser. You know what I mean? He doesn't seem like that intimidating, controlling person. He seems relatively genteel.
I have no idea. I just know that they're derivative and boring with these stories. They need to be more creative.
Yeah.
All right.
True.
Let's move on then, shall we? So we talked last week about the death of Gen Z's ability to talk like normal adults via brain rot language, and that is continuing on as schools are now banning Gen Alpha because they can't understand. They're banning their slang because people have no idea what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah, so this elementary school posted up a list of all of the Gen Alpha slang words that are now officially banned in their school. And here are the words on the list. Skibbity, We've heard that one. Sigma, Riz, Gyat, Ohio, Phantom Tax, Sus, Gritty, 1-2 Buckle My Shoe, Mewing, and Sui.
1-2 Buckle My Shoe was not one I was familiar with, and Gritty was not one I had heard more than a couple of times.
Gritty is the dance move. 1-2 Buckle My Shoe is the one I didn't know about. But
What's Ohio?
Well, it's no place. That's what it is.
Is that what it's
Ohio
about?
It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, they believe
So is
that
that what
Ohio
they're-
doesn't exist.
Which is funny because when we were moving out here, we drove through Ohio, and it was very basically like it doesn't exist.
So my son and his best friend who moved to Morocco, they were talking after we moved out here, and my son was telling his friend, he was like, Ohio exists. And his friend was like, no, it doesn't. It doesn't exist. And they were having this whole conversation. It was very
I
amusing.
swear it exists.
Wait,
I've been there.
Speaking of,
We got
like,
a 20 real
oh,
quick.
yeah.
Russ Buzzard said, are we dead naming Kanye or is he Kanye again?
There's no way. It's like Twitter. You can't just switch just
I'm not
because
calling
somebody
him
says.
Ye. I just call him Kanye.
I can't do it either.
We were dead naming.
Speaking of like
yeah,
old
I like
emo,
it. We're dead naming. Yeah, Kanye.
Speaking of old emo songs, wasn't there like a Hawthorne Heights song called like "My Heart Is in Ohio"?
Yeah, I think so.
There you go. See, it exists. How could someone's heart be in Ohio if it didn't exist?
Exactly. But it says the use of these words will result in a C1. I guess that's some kind of violation. Talk properly.
See,
I
this is
think this is a good thing.
no. This is government indoctrination camps trying to control your speech via a form of punishment that is only beneficial for consensus builders. So all the boys are going to be the one who gets punished here.
What's funny though is I don't remember wanting to share kid slang with stupid grown-ups when I was a kid.
I mean, doesn't it
Like,
feel
why do you want them to understand you?
Well, no,
You know, when you're speaking to your teachers and stuff, use words that they understand. And when you're talking to your friends, have your own language.
yeah.
That's what I recall. We had like, super freakazoid and stuff. Like
So
that.
kids, you're saying that like back in the day, kids understood that certain language was for their friends and certain language was for their
Yeah.
teachers, and now they
Yeah.
can't differentiate between the two.
Yeah, there was this when I was in college. I had this professor, Danny Kaiser, and we were studying James Joyce, and it was a course on James Joyce and Proust. And the first day of class, he was like, I don't know why you want me to teach you Joyce. When I was in school, Joyce was for us. It was ours. We didn't want anyone telling us about it. We wanted to discover it on our own. And he said the same thing about folk music. He was like, now, he said that. He was like, and I used to say this about folk music, and everyone was out there blasting folk music on the airwaves. We weren't doing that when we were hanging out in Washington Square singing folk songs, and that was ours. We didn't want anyone else involved. And I kind of wonder, like, why do kids want all of their subculture to be on the surface for everybody to consume?
There is no
like, don't you
subcultures anymore
want
because
stuff
of the
for
internet.
your own? You want stuff like I always wanted stuff for myself too. Like when I would go hang out with my friends or we'd go see whatever bands that no one had ever heard of, that felt good. We liked that.
I think it's different now because back then your subgroup was people you knew in the real world, and this language comes from the internet. So
Right.
it doesn't have the same in-group mentality that would happen.
It's community property.
Yeah.
That's why subculture is dead. You
I
can't
hate
gatekeep
that.
anything.
I hate that subculture is dead.
I
You
agree.
can't gatekeep anything if it's accessible to the entire world on the internet.
Like that does kind of suck, right? Like I talk all the time about how the internet kind of destroyed subcultures because the barrier to entry used to be
Right.
higher. So the more you had to, they used to talk about this all the time. Listen to any podcast that reviews the X-Files and talks about loving the X-Files when they were younger because they were into conspiracy theories back in the 90s. It was a different ball game to be into conspiracies back in the
Right.
90s when you had to go to bookstores
True.
to find books on
Or
conspiracies.
listen to like really niche radio
Yes.
shows or something like that.
Now you just go to YouTube, you type in anything, and boom,
Yeah.
a bunch of stuff comes up. So, it's rightful for people who've been feeling that way or have done that for 20 years to be like, look, you're a tourist in this space.
I know you've said that MAGA was the death of hipsters
Yes,
or
I do believe
hipsterism, but I actually think it was social media that killed the hipster.
Think so?
Because you can't gatekeep anything and you can't act like you're special because you're into this really niche record.
Because it gets turned into successful YouTube channels now.
You can do all of the research into every little thing on the internet and within the space of a couple hours, so you can't have anything that's just for your friend group.
So it's almost like using this slang indicates your understanding of internet subculture.
Right, which I don't think
So
there's
it's sort
something
of
to
like
be proud of in
right,
being
but like-
chronically online,
But maybe it signals to other kids, like, I know this stuff
Yeah.
too. And then maybe you can forge friendships.
which sucks
from that.
it sucks for kids who have responsible parents that limit their internet use because now they can't be in that in
But
group.
that's always true. I mean, that's, like, that's always true. Whether if your parents aren't like buying you the next cool thing or whatever. And then those kids grow up and they're like, my parents were so strict. I didn't even know what skibbity meant or
Does
whatever.
your son use brain rot language?
No.
No?
No.
But he knows about it.
He knows about it, and I ask him what it means.
And he's able
different
to
things-
explain it to you.
Some of it,
Okay.
not all of it. And I'll be like, why don't you know what that means? And he'll be like, because I don't know. I don't know all these things.
That probably means that you're doing a good job.
Well, I don't know about that.
If he doesn't know all of the brain rot slang.
But no, he doesn't know all of the brain rot.
there was
slang.
brain rot, when I was in high school, like Thanos car. Remember that?
No, what's that?
It was just this purple car that like looked like Thanos, and it wasn't even about referencing Endgame. It was about Thanos car. Like you just said it. It's dumb, but it's
the
true.
internet.
Like
It's
that's
the
what it
internet.
was, is internet culture.
Well, because concepts that used to signify cultural objects or ideas now simply signify themselves.
What do you mean? Can you give me an example?
Yeah, so like Thanos car, right? So
Okay.
Thanos car doesn't represent
Thanos.
anything. It just represents the thing it is.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Like so I recently did ask my son to explain this skibbity thing to me because I actually asked him to explain it, and that didn't work out. And so I asked my son to explain it, and he was like, okay, there's like an original video, and we went through the whole thing.
So you actually watched the
I
Skippy
watched
Toilet channel?
the thing. Yeah, we watched it, and he was like, see, it's ridiculous. And I was like, it is. But it isn't anything except for the thing it is.
Yes.
W
There's
Manners
nothing underneath it.
just sent us a 20. You lost the game.
It's surface.
Yeah.
I think.
It's
I
not
lose all
designed-
games.
Do you guys know what the game is?
No, but I'm sure I lost it.
Oh, Phil talks about the game.
Wait, what is he referring to when he says that?
Somebody in the chat explained it. I remember Phil being pissed about it.
The
and-
game
All
is
I know is
Yeah.
the Wesley Crusher
Yeah.
Star Trek TNG episode with the game.
Yeah.
you
And
lose,
Will Riker loses
you
the
lose
game.
the game when you remember that the
game.
game exists.
Yes.
That's literally it.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot.
I remember somebody super chatted that on IRL, and Phil got pissed and that he lost the game.
Yeah.
That's, I think that's before my time.
Well, it's still a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still don't get
So
it.
the game still exists.
I do think that it sucks that the idea of subcultures, like it's kind of the joke I always make about certain hobbies were just meant to be niche, right? But the dude now who makes artisanal pickles for a living can have a YouTube channel, like it's 1 million followers of this dude showing you how he makes his artisanal pickles.
There's still some though
Yeah.
that are niche. Like I used to know this guy Dennis Moritz, who's a playwright, really good playwright, and he had this hobby where he made model planes and then actually flew them. And there were a bunch of old guys, and they all went out
Yeah.
and flew these
Oh
model
yeah,
planes.
they have like meetups where they do them at airfields,
and they would build
stuff like
them
that, in parks. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like that was cool.
But the thing is, like nowadays, now there's going to be I guarantee if we went and looked it up now, there's YouTube channels dedicated
But
to
do you
the
think it's
building
like
and
10
creation.
old guys in a field?
No, I don't. I think that it connects people. Also, you forget that the internet isn't just the United States; it's the whole world. So if there's 100,000 subscribers on that channel, that looks like a lot of people, but in a a worldwide population of 7 billion. That's really not a whole lot, but it does offer more people the ability to access these things where before you would had to have come across it in some, maybe that's the thing. It's like back in the day, you had to come across something in a more organic way. So if you got really into conspiracies, it's because you had a friend who had a brother who listened to Alex Jones 20 years ago, and he had to explain something to you while you were over at their house for the weekend, and you say, oh, that's really interesting. And then you had to go to a library to look up some of this stuff. Now you just happen across it while searching stuff up online, and it's almost like a less impressive way of finding your way into new hobbies.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Sad.
A less impressive way of finding your way into new hobbies. It's like it's also less
maybe
impressive.
less meaningful.
Yeah, and it's
It
also
doesn't
a less meaningful way of like finding new music and
Yeah.
all of that stuff.
Like I found, I've been skating for 25 years, which I came across because it was popular at the time, but also because kids that I played hockey with were also doing it. Everyone got into it, and that stuck with me, from that time period. But if I just happened to cross somebody skating online, I don't know if that would have interested me in the same way, because the subculture in and of itself was so much smaller and away from mainstream society that you felt like you were part of something.
Right.
Even if you were one of just 5 kids in a town that did it, there was videos that were being made and you felt like you were part of something special because other people didn't know about it. And now it's like, how can you feel that way when you go and you look up a subreddit and there's hundreds of thousands of people there?
Well, and you can know about things without ever having experienced them.
Yeah.
Which is interesting too.
So,
I mean, which you could anyway, but you can feel like you're part of a thing without having experienced it.
can you give me an example of like something that, like how that happens in the real world? I'm sure that does happen a lot.
Indie sleaze. That's what people are talking about right now. After photos came out of Charlie XCX's birthday party, they were all of these photos taken by the Cobra Snake, who's like this big photographer in like the early 2010s. And he's repopularized because Gen Z wants to embody that, like that free-spirited party culture that no longer exists.
I read something about that, yeah.
And they were like, Indie Sleaze is making a comeback. And it's like, no, it's already over because you guys became way too self-aware of how you look at parties. And you're ruining the vibe.
Would that have been like the whole Electroclash era?
I guess it was sort of the way that hipsters looked on Saturday night before they went to like twee on Sundays.
Okay.
But it was basically like social media before social media, like photos of the party come out the next day.
The ones that are like blown out, super white backgrounds.
Yeah.
Everybody's wearing white V-necks.
I don't know because I didn't experience it, and I also didn't observe it at the time that it was popular.
Like the
but
trucker hats and the ripped skinny jeans.
sort of like that. But
That
it was
gave
like
way to dubstep.
retro.
it was characterized by the way that nobody was self-conscious of how they looked in the photos.
Yeah.
And now
Okay.
that has been completely destroyed because of social media, and the photos that are trying to imitate it just seem pathetic.
Yeah.
Because no one believes that you weren't like obsessively trying to get the right angle.
It's 110% true that every photo you have pre-digital era is infinitely more meaningful because you didn't have to try it 2 or 3 times to get the right one.
Well, and you couldn't look at it as soon as you took it.
That was like, I have to explain to people, like when we started, like when we would get pictures for magazines for skating, right? Like if you had a profile in a magazine and you went out and shot photos on film, you just had to hope that the trick you landed got captured correctly and that the person you were working with, and of course, the people you were working with are good at their job, so most of the time it did, right? But nowadays, when it's done digitally, you just redo it. Like you do it, if the photo doesn't come out the way you want it to, you just redo it.
You do it like 100 times.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember like my graduation pictures, my friend who was a photographer, back when schools taught photography and you would like actually develop your film in the darkroom. She took all these photos of me and our other friend for graduation, and when we got them back, we were like, meh, it's not exactly what we're going for, but we had to use it anyway.
They're dunking on Reddit, and I think they were saying they're saying Reddit is for the weakest of the weak. The only Reddit I've ever used is the r/entertainment one to topic source for us some days.
I think lurking on Reddit is a whole different game than being someone who obsessively posts on Reddit for karma.
All right, let's move on then, shall we? We've got more to get into today. So there is a whole bunch of DNC stuff that Mary sent me that's all degeneracy.
Yeah, there was some DNC cringe. First off, do you remember when we were talking about Swingers on Main, the Disney dating app for swingers?
Unfortunately, I do.
Yeah, if you recall, this couple made a TikTok about Swingers on Main and how they find other swingers at Disney parks. And they were spotted at the DNC yesterday, and they were interviewed on TV. For some reason, they were there.
I mean, if I was to imagine them at any political convention,
I guess they were searching for swingers at the DNC. I'm sure there are plenty.
Would have been
Twinks for Kamala?
That's, yeah, one of them is wearing a Twinks for Kamala shirt.
And he's married to a woman?
I don't know. I don't know what their deal is. They have an open relationship. So I'm sure they were scouting at the DNC for partners.
That's okay.
This is what they're doing. And somehow they made it on TV.
Well, everyone ridiculous made it on TV. Well, did you see Matt Walsh in his costume made it on TV?
Yeah.
And
I don't know if he was planning on getting caught.
And his like,
I don't think he was, but he made the most of it.
Yeah.
and his like website that links to the trailer.
Right.
amazing.
Expert promo.
I mean, fantastic promo and work that went
Guerrilla
into
marketing.
to making that happen.
Also, someone was holding an anarcho brat flag at the protests outside the DNC.
Can somebody tell me the political ideology of what anarcho-bratism is? I would love to know.
I mean, I don't know, but it sounds like no rules skank fest.
So I mean,
Yes.
that's kind of brat,
Yes.
but that's kind of brat. You don't even need to add the anarcho part there.
Right.
It feels like
It's
the
already
anarcho
implied.
part is like it makes sense when you add anarcho to capitalism, right? There's a distinction between traditional capitalism and what somebody believes anarcho-capitalism is. Bratism, if we're to take it as some type of weird ideology, is anarchistic by nature.
But it's not necessarily, because if it's a narco brat, like I don't think you could Me Too anyone just because your brat went too far.
Okay. All right. We need to
Surely a brat Chaz will be the anti-authoritarian paradise we've dreamed of for so long.
I'm going to need Michael Malice to do some investigating into what anarcho-bratism is.
Another one, a communist replied, "People are being slaughtered in the thousands, but let me make this about me with some stupid pop culture BS. F libs." So this was, how dare you fly an anarcho brat flag outside the DNC when there's a genocide going on in Gaza. That's what they were saying.
Right. Well, no pride during genocide.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
gets
So the
a little
messaging is
dodgy.
getting a little confused.
They're
They're
That's what
protesting.
happens.
They're protesting outside of the DNC for Palestine, right?
Yes.
That's why they're protesting.
Yeah.
Because it's not being talked about enough at the DNC.
Which
Somehow this person made it there.
Yeah.
Are they
Okay.
talking about it at the DNC?
Oh yeah, it looks pretty clear. Like if Kamala Harris gets into office, they're going to shift entirely away from Israel and be pro-terrorist. Is
Okay.
kind of how it looks.
Well, they're not talking about issues really of any kind.
No, but
the
on
most
Monday
part.
you had a AOC brought up, ceasefire in Gaza from the main stage. Joe Biden said the protesters outside have a point. And then yesterday there was a big protest, a sit-in, because now the new thing is that since the family of a kidnapped Israeli hostage spoke on the stage, they want a Palestinian activist speaker to speak from the main stage as well. And they're all getting upset because this isn't happening and it isn't scheduled. So yesterday they had a sit-in apparently outside. And AOC, Ilhan Omar, and Summer Lee, who I think is Pennsylvania rep, a progressive Pennsylvania rep, they talked to the organizers and they were very sympathetic about it. And then today the United Auto Workers Union, which is pro Kamala, came out and yelled about on Twitter how there should be Palestinian speaker on the main stage. And Kamala Harris is already snubbed Netanyahu when he was in town and whatever. So there are little indications without there being actually any kind of policy whatsoever.
Got it.
Well, they would have to be talking about policy for there to be policy.
Right.
So.
And they're not talking about any policy at all.
But it's not just that. There's
Yes.
more. There's more to make fun of at the DNC with Jessica Alba. Actually, hold on. Pause.
Thank you. First crisis party.
Thank you, guys. It's not easy to be a celebrity these days with the comments open on their channels, is it?
Right. So you probably haven't heard anything from or about Jessica Alba in years, but she decided to post a picture of the Obamas embracing on stage at the DNC and praised them in the caption, saying, "This is our time to stand up for what we know in our hearts is right. Hope is making a comeback." Cried 47 times watching this
sweet Mary.
dynamic duo. Let's get to work.
Remember what we were just saying 10 seconds ago about platitudes?
Yes, it's the epitome of that.
47, get it.
So Jessica Alba posted this on Instagram. The responses were so overwhelmingly negative that she deleted them all and turned off her comments.
Oh
so
my
followers
goodness.
have gone and flooded to her other posts to give her a piece of their mind.
Wow.
One said, "You don't care about this economy. You can afford it." Very valid point.
I mean, there's a reason why they call them champagne socialists.
For someone with a company called The Honest Company, why did you turn off comments on your post? The political views of celebrities, LMAO, unfollow. I think we can all get on board with that. Turned off all the comments because 99% of the thousands of comments that were made by real working class Americans don't like Kamala or the Democratic Party. Bought and paid for, of course.
I mean, I don't like the people saying that she should delete the post. I think that just make the post and own what you believe, right? And then
stand on business.
And then get ready to defend your position. Somebody says, like, why would you vote for wars, Ukraine, Gaza? What's wrong with you? This is what I mean when I say that the average person, especially if you're a far left Hollywood politico, you're not actually anti-war, but you believe that you are.
Sure.
The average person who's politically uninformed actually still believes that the left is the party of anti-war. And to be fair, the Uniparty is pro-war no matter what, for the most part. But in this case, it's the fact that they've always painted the right as evil and the left as the champion of the middle class and anti-war, which is very clearly not true.
Watching Kenan Thompson's bit at the DNC was just really cringy. Like, you've completely foregone any presumption that you were still cool or funny.
I started watching it and I was like, wow, I couldn't even watch the whole thing. I was just sort of horrified by it.
Like, he's not even that bad when he's outside of that context. Like, he is a funny guy, but why would you do that? It just totally ruins your public image. And then Mindy Kaling was also trying to crack some jokes, which were really cringy. She was like, I want to be the ambassador to Italy. Can we make that happen? Blah,
I mean,
blah, blah.
they make jokes about that, but that was a huge part of Obama's administration was celebrities as ambassadors and celebrities in the cabinet.
He was
the Hollywood president.
Yes.
I was
even
shocked
more than Kennedy.
when Oprah walked out on stage. She was skinny
Mary's
legend.
She's like, look, I don't like her.
I don't like Oprah, but she's skinny.
Those pictures with Weinstein are super sus, but
you gotta hand it to Oprah. She's looking like a skinny legend these days.
I wonder if she's finally happy because she's been talking publicly about battling weight for decades and decades.
It's bizarre that Weight Watchers would choose her to be a brand ambassador for all those years when she was never skinny the entire time.
She was overweight, but she wasn't like fat.
Right, like why? But why do you want her to be the representative for a weight loss brand?
Probably because she was so open about it all the time. And she was like doing she would go up and down and up and down.
But Ozempic was the only
Ozempic. Is that what it is?
Ozempic was the only thing that could get Oprah skinny. So I guess props to her.
I wonder if she's happy. I mean, that would be the real question. Now that you've spent the entirety of your adult life fighting your weight, and now you are skinny. Are you happy?
It's like when the dog finally catches the car.
Or is this you at your happiest? I want to know that question.
The dog catches the car it's been chasing its whole life and doesn't know what to do with it. She's like, well, I'm here. Now what?
Right? Like, is her life just that much better now?
Well, you have to stop taking Ozempic at some point.
You can't just take it forever.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just. It would probably kill you if you took it for the rest of your life.
There's like a lot of side effects too.
Yeah, her friend was saying she got really sick and stuff was coming out of both sides.
Oh, sweet Mary.
So I think that had something to do with the Ozempic side effects. But
there's also like hair loss.
She looked good.
Yeah.
She looked good. I'm not going to lie.
If you can afford wigs, maybe it's worth it.
Yeah.
Yep. So this is a very common thing these days. In the age of the internet, celebrities no longer have the echo chamber unless they turn comments off for things like this.
It's such a bad look, you know?
Yep.
Or when they limit comments to only people they follow so they only get praise.
I love that when they do that on Twitter when you say something really inflammatory.
And then just turn off replies.
And then turn off the replies or limit replies and stuff like that.
That's why they...
Not as bad as when somebody says something really stupid and they say, I seem to have triggered the so-and-sos because you said something really, really dumb, and then everybody rightly tells you that you said something dumb.
Well, I would say something similar to that if I am further elaborating on my original point, not just to say like, I triggered people, haha.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on then, shall we? What would you like to see? Cringe or cute of the day?
Libby, it's up to you today.
Let's go with cringe. It's been such a cringy week. Let's just double down.
Okay. Mary sent me this one. I have not watched this one yet, so let's see what it is.
Passing period's over. Take a seat and breathe. Your Get your things out class. No cell phones, please. No cell phones, please. No cell phones, please. It's time to do some math. I mean geometry. Passing period's over. Take a seat and breathe. Get your things out class. No cell phones, please. No cell phones, please. No cell phones, please. It's time to do some math. I mean geometry. I still got some fun deep inside of me. Please give me energy. I know you won't be shy. Please do some proofs for me. Just say goodbye to Jim, then take a quiz for me. Quiz for me.
Oh my goodness.
Was that bad?
Teachers trying to be relatable is the worst thing that ever happened to education. Like, what I wouldn't give for a teacher to stand at the front of the room and be like, you will sit, you will do your work, this is the work, do it now.
She bullies people on
That's
LinkedIn
it.
for sure.
Oh my goodness, on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yes.
She bullies people on LinkedIn.
I can't
guarantee
help
you.
but kind of find it endearing. Mm-hmm. You know, 'cause she's just trying to do her job, right? She's just trying to get the class engaged.
Not
with the
demure.
subject.
Not demure.
It wasn't demure.
It
and
wasn't
cutesy.
demure. It wasn't cutesy. She is one of these teachers that's trying too much.
Poor lady. This is gonna be on the internet forever.
Look, here's the
With
problem.
her big Stanley Cup in the front.
Yeah, that's the worst part of it too. Is the Stanley Cup, and it was this like her TikTok or something like that.
I guess she posted it of her own volition for some reason.
Yeah, but it was like recorded
No cell
by
phones, please. No cell phones,
It's
please.
awful. Like, just say, like, if I see you with your cell phone, I will take it.
That is actually what resonates with kids, is like actual authority.
Bro,
Not
this was filmed
this.
by a person. This wasn't filmed on a tripod. She made some poor student film this.
No, she just leaned it against some books.
No, it's moving
You can
with
tell
her.
it's,
it's moving
they're
with
doing
her.
camera work.
Oh, how
Or it was one of her students.
You know what it is?
who was
It's
not
whoever
listening.
the suck up student who reminds you that you forgot to assign the homework.
Mm-hmm.
That's who filmed this.
Teacher's pet filmed it for her.
Oh
yeah.
man. Okay.
Yeah.
I hated it.
Well, that's the point. That's the point of Cringe of the Day. You're supposed to hate it.
I really hate it.
You're welcome.
Again, this lady is just so mean to people on the internet. She's got be kind in her profile, and she's mean to everybody online.
The be kind people are the worst.
Yes.
The ones who are actually nice are the ones who tell you that they're mean and cruel, because then you know, like, just don't mess with them and they will be kind
It
to you.
costs $0 to just be a good effing person.
It also costs $0 to be a mean person, so that argument doesn't hold up. So, all right, let's move on.
Cute of the day.
Okay, yeah, cute of the day. All right, this one's from Candace. Mr. Claus and his new blanket.
Aw, he's shy.
Looks shy. He's like, look, I'm trying to sleep here.
Leave me alone.
You're like, I'm tired.
Very
Leave me alone.
sweet.
Is this the same one? Yeah, it's the same one.
I saw a baby hippopotamus the other day online. That was cute.
Aw.
It's awesome. Let's do one more here. This is from Brian Fosh. He says, Simon enjoys a good belly rub in the morning. Blends into the background.
Yeah, then he
he
just
looks like
attacks
half a
you if
blanket.
you actually do it,
Yep, it's true.
like cats do.
All
very
right.
cute.
Oh, now that we're done with that, Mary, let's go ahead and get started then.
Yeah, so this is not the end of Andrew and Tristan Tate's legal trouble. Yesterday, news broke that the Romanian police raided their home once again, and now they have been taken off to jail in handcuffs again.
Didn't that happen already?
Yes, that did happen back in 2022. That was their first arrest. But now there are new allegations involving minors. So let's take a look first at the video of Dicot police raiding their home. They had to enter through the roof, which
this
is
one?
insane.
Is that this one here?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
Sounded like a battering ram.
They have that neon thing outside their house.
Yeah. You'd think they just knock on the door, right? They're so used to it at this point.
Drone? Okay.
And then there
You'd
was
think the Tates would have like some kind of drop down, you know, like
supervillains.
yeah, like supervillains where they can't be found.
Right. You would think they have a special bunker. I'm sure they do, but they did comply with police, and there was also a video of them getting dragged off by the police in handcuffs Do you have that video?
Is that this one here?
Uh-huh.
That was the one of them getting arrested. Okay, so
Yep.
here we go.
Mergem la mașină că o să îi aducă la mașină. Stai.
Wait till you see. They say I'm a lover boy, the mother of my children. We've tricked them into having kids. Unbelievable. Wait till you see. Remember the first file and the media wasn't asking, where's the evidence? This is your chance. This is your chance to renew it. There's no evidence.
You are okay?
For now. Compulsion people, we have to. Compulsion. Kids don't know. Guys, ask them for evidence. The first file, no evidence. It was all a lie. Ask them this time where the evidence is. This is the most crazy. They have no evidence, no proof. They've just made up a bunch of shit. They're lying and they're desperate. This file is more pathetic than the first one. Christ is king.
They arrested those two girls too.
Yes.
He said, give you other cheat. He didn't said go and try to create whatever engagement matrix you are all here trying to do.
So from the beginning of this prosecution, it has always involved 4 people. The 2 women that they were bringing into that cop car are also being charged with all of the same charges
Like
that
trafficking or
Andrew and
whatever.
Tristan Tate are being charged with. And I think that they've actually used those women's testimonies on social media as a way to gain credibility because they're like, oh, like, look at these women that we've been friends with for years. They say that we're great guys,
Right.
but they're the ones who are also getting charged. And also earlier the same day, they had brought in the head of security for the Tate brothers for questioning as well. But here's the official press release from DICOT translated into English, so sorry if it doesn't make amazing sense. Home searches in a criminal case of human trafficking. Today, August 21st, police officers, together with prosecutors of the Organized Crime and Terrorism Investigation Directorate, implemented 4 home search warrants. The activities took place in a criminal case regarding the commission of crimes forming an organized criminal group, trafficking in minors, human trafficking, sexual intercourse with a minor, influencing statements, and money laundering. The hearings are held at the headquarters of DICOT. Specialist support was provided by the Special Operations Directorate of the Romanian Police. The action benefits from the support of Special Intervention Brigade. I don't know how to pronounce a lot of these Romanian words. We make it clear that during the entire criminal process, the investigated persons benefit from the procedural rights and guarantees provided by the Code of Criminal Procedure, as well as the presumption of innocence. So the justification that was used to arrest them was a preventative arrest because they believe the Tate brothers are still continuously interfering with the investigation by communicating with the alleged victims and pressuring them into recanting, pressuring them into making public statements of defense for them. And actually, I think they recorded Andrew Tate on a phone call in his first stint in jail. You should assume that if you're making a phone call in jail, they're recording it, bro.
I remember that.
But he actually did say on one of his phone calls, like, you need to get in touch with this person and get them to say this. Then it went out to the public, so everyone knows that you were doing that. But yeah, the official charges are not, in fact, as Andrew Tate claimed in his Tucker Carlson interview, stealing money from their TikTok accounts. It was forming an organized criminal group, trafficking minors, human trafficking, new victims, sexual intercourse with a minor, money laundering, and influencing statements, which essentially means bribery and witness intimidation.
Says authorities have accused them of rape and human trafficking, claiming that they used false promises of love and marriage to lure women to come to Romania with the aim of recruiting them to work for their webcam pornography business. Now, all 4 have denied the allegations and have claims that the charges are politically motivated because of Andrew Tate's large influence on social media, where he has millions of followers and espouses anti-establishment and anti-feminist views. In a post on X following the raid, but by the way, they just got done on Rumble. They're already out, obviously, and have already gone live on Rumble.
Oh, what did they say on Rumble?
I did not watch. They just finished up now. But this was what he tweeted on, or sorry, he X'd. Did we say X'd? This is what he said on.
X'd.
This is
You're
what he said
supposed
on
to say
X following the raid on
posted,
his home.
apparently, as the-
He says 9 hours into the house search, and an armed police officer looked at me apologetically and shrugs his shoulders and says, "quote You've made somebody very angry." Tate also asserted that, "quote the minor they are talking about is 24 years old, but because she first followed me years ago when she was 17, they said I intended to traffic her, even though I literally did nothing to her, and we've been friends for years." Matrix attack. He used the term Matrix attack at the end there. He says the Tate brothers also face arrest warrants, of course, in the UK over an alleged sexual aggression case prior to their moving to Romania. The Bucharest Court of Appeal approved the request to extradite the pair. However, the extradition can only take place following their prosecution in Romania.
So prior to this arrest, they were actually granted right to travel outside of Romania as long as they stayed in the EU. That has changed now. They were in jail overnight, and then they were let out on the condition that they're, again, on house arrest in Romania. So not even allowed to leave the compound. And Tristan tweeted, "If you can't see what's going on by now, you're an idiot. More heinous charges and a more dangerous jail. To anybody with street smarts, that is called an assassination attempt. God bless the judge for making the right decision. This isn't about stopping crime. #corruption." I'm sorry. I just can't buy anything they're saying anymore, right? Like,
No, but
it sounds ridiculous. It is ridiculous.
I don't know what I haven't followed most of their whole deal. I did watch some of the Tucker Carlson interview, but the level of like pompous entitlement was more than I could really stomach. So I never really delved any further into it.
Well, in these sympathetic interviews, the amount of clever linguistic obfuscation from the issue at hand is noticeable to me, at least.
Right.
And the fact that he just sat there and told Tucker Carlson that he was charged with stealing money from TikTok accounts when that objectively was not what he was
Tucker's
charged
like giving
with.
Tucker face like
Tucker just sat there and was like, yeah, that's so wrong that they're accusing you of that. But you're a journalist. You're supposed to do your research before you interview someone.
But he did the same thing with Putin. And what I think is interesting is how he does just let them talk and there isn't pushback, but you do get to hear a person in their own words. I don't know how, if that's not the kind of thing that you're looking for, then it's a problem because you want somebody to push back. But yeah, I mean, you see that, like, there's so much of that too in media. Like, nobody pushes back against Pelosi or Kamala Harris, which, you know, who they haven't talked to in ages because she won't say anything. But they do have these hostile interviews with Trump all the time. And as soon as he gets an interview where someone's actually just like asking him real questions and chilling out and like listening.
Like Theo Von.
Yeah, like the Theo Von interview, which was really interesting. Man. Yeah, like then everyone freaks out like that they're not pushing back hard enough, you know.
Well, I guess there's no way to do it perfectly, but I just thought, you know, if you don't even know what this guy is being charged with, what's your business interviewing him to get information out to the public?
Right. It's like it was just part of his like whole manosphere thing.
Yeah, and it's not even like ideological that I think, you know, it's sketchy. Like I'm not, you know, a feminist who's like triggered by Andrew Tate or whatever. I just think that he's openly admitted to doing these things on his own platforms enough times that it warrants at least suspicion. He's openly said, I had sex with women to get loyalty from them to make them work for me.
Right.
Like that is literally the definition of the lover boy method, which they're accusing him of.
Right, which is something used by, you know, in prostitution circles. People do that.
He also admitted to like tax fraud, saying that he lied to the women who were working for him in this webcam business, saying they were getting 50-50 pay cuts. In reality, he was taking 70% and not paying taxes on it and making them sign fake tax documents. And he just was like, women are dumb and they don't get taxes, so that's what I did. And also just the inconsistency in the timeline of how they've explained everything is something to be suspicious of as well. They continuously claimed, oh yeah, I haven't been in the porn business for over a decade now, or like 15 years even. And then you can see interviews of both Tristan and Andrew Tate from as recently as 2020, 2021, still talking about running this webcam business. I don't even know if it's still going or not.
Yeah, are they doing that now? Are they still doing?
Who's to say? Because they keep lying.
Right.
Why do you think prosecution is taking so long?
It's weird, right? Why have they been building this case since 2022? It's been years and they still haven't gone to trial.
My question would be why are you filing for new charges and raiding again when you're supposed to be prosecuting on the initial charges to begin with?
Well, I guess what DICOT is claiming is they're still building their case against them, but it's taking an awful lot of time. And they openly said that they moved to Romania so they could do whatever they want because it is a country known for a lot of political corruption and
that probably didn't sit well
organized
with the Romanian
crime,
authorities.
truthfully.
You know?
I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
if I don't know if I buy that Romania cares a whole lot of look, if it's an extremely corrupt place, I don't know if they're going to take serious offense to being called corrupt. Maybe I guess because of the size of his platform.
Well, because he's so high profile, I think they might be making an example of him in a certain sense by showing like they're tough on corruption, they're tough on organized crime because he's famous. So people are going to hear about it. And the idea that the Matrix is controlling the Romanian prosecution is outlandish to me because they're not exactly precious about social liberalism and civil liberties in Romania or Eastern Europe in general. I'm not saying I know one way or the other whether they have a conviction on their hands, but I mean, they've been openly lying about a lot of minor and major details in this whole story. And that enough is like, you can at least admit that they're on video lying about things that are important to the case, telling Western media, because the language barrier between the Romanian prosecutors and the Western world who is following this story is so vast, they're able to tell whatever story they want.
Yeah, I mean, I temper my belief on either side here that people who sell you things online should not be taken at face value for anything, nor do I implicitly trust any government organization of any kind, not even in the United States, let alone in Romania, right? So it takes somebody who's done, I mean, a lot of people have done a lot of research into these cases and looked into them very deeply. I just can't
like Willie Mack,
I can't bring myself to care, other than to find it vaguely interesting how it relates back to his concept of greater societal issues through what he calls the Matrix, which I find at least interesting on the outset, right? The idea that there are forces that they consider there to be forces working against people. They kind of use it as an analog for forces that work against, men in traditional society, because he espouses beliefs that are supposed to be inherently pro-male in a world that seems to be becoming increasingly feminist. But that's a very, very niche side of this that has nothing to do with the law.
It doesn't have anything to do with this.
Or what's actually going on in these court cases.
Also, I don't think it makes a lot of sense to say that there's that it's the Matrix or whatever. I mean that's
I think
no more. All of these things are acting somewhat independently.
That is a term that's no more meaningful to me than the deep state, which is just a generic term for a bunch of unelected
federal agency employees.
Yes, who destroy the country without having to be accountable to voters
and think they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Characterizing Andrew Tate as an avatar of masculinity, I think, is an insult to masculinity and men in general.
Isn't that how he's been portrayed? That's basically why Tucker interviewed him.
Yeah, that's kind of a stolen valor on Andrew Tate's part, I think.
Because he's not a gentleman at all. He's not good to the women in his life. He doesn't treat them with respect.
Nothing masculine about using women for sex and money.
And then exploiting
that
them.
is an insult to masculinity, in my opinion. And
look, when people hear the term human trafficking, they think of women put into a locker and held there until they're shipped somewhere else. They don't think of somebody saying promising love and affection and then
that used to be a law, the law of seduction.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
that was a thing. If you promised a woman marriage and got her to have sex with you, then you would go to jail for that.
Holding people to that account in the society we have today is kind of insane.
Right. But I mean, you do have the thing where, because people say that People argue that the women were willing and that they went along with it and whatever, but that doesn't make you not culpable for that destruction anyway. Letting someone destroy themselves because they believe your lies,
profiting off of it,
doesn't make you a good man. It doesn't absolve you from the sins that you've committed using that other person. Just because they're okay with it doesn't mean that that's fine.
See, what you just said right there is exactly why, to me, it's neither here nor there whether he faces, actual prison time or whether he gets convicted for criminal activity. Because I think it's self-evident on its face that this guy is a scumbag.
I mean, but is it strange that he's out right away the next day after being raided? So they clearly didn't find anything. They were just hoping to catch him.
No, the judge made the decision to allow them to go on house arrest rather than staying in jail because they've been cooperative so far. So that was the judge's decision.
But if they had actually found something that would cause them to be remanded to custody, not just house arrest, then they would have found something that would have made the ability for them to even get house arrest negligible.
Well, the justification for the house arrest is from their perspective to prevent them from obstruction of the investigation.
Wait, how? So they're less likely to be able to obstruct the investigation from home than they would be from jail?
They're almost certainly being wiretapped.
Okay. So, but
in their home, it's probably tapped.
Yes, 100%.
And they
must know that.
Do they think they don't know that? I find that hard.
Well,
to
if you don't know that you're being wiretapped in jail phone calls, maybe he doesn't know that. But yes, they're paying very, very close attention to all of their communications. They're being heavily surveilled. So they're trying to prevent them from bribing people, from
I do find this topic
intimidating people.
I do find this topic interesting because people tend to have very strong reactions to it. I can't bring myself to have a strong I find Andrew Tate hilarious in the context of the skits that he would do, or his random when he goes off on random rants and he talks about Meghan Markle. That stuff was funny, or him making fun of Spider-Man. I find that funny as just a personality on the internet. I can't bring myself to care about all of this because it's such hearsay and third-party information that I don't know. I'm never going to know. I can't bring myself to be more than just kind of interested.
That's all fine and good, but I just don't. I find it impossible to believe that Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate are within the leagues of Julian Assange. Come on.
Has somebody made that comparison?
Well, in portraying himself as this victim of political persecution, he is kind of placing himself in the category of a Julian Assange, some kind of freedom fighter. And it's no,
I'm trying to think
you were just a PUA influencer in the 2010s who said a bunch of incriminating shit on your YouTube channel that everyone still has access to. And it's being selectively edited to make it look like it was all a joke, but you were very clearly putting this into business practice. We got a 20 from That Stanzatastic. Get woke, get subsidized, wait till he learns about meth. Okay, bro looks like a trapezoid. Sorry, I don't have a monocle, so I can't watch Apple TV. Get quality zingers like this, some cringe, and more on the next episode of PCC.
You're welcome.
That was a great sales pitch. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're very welcome.
Okay, let's read some super chats. Shane H. Wilder said, "Happy Thursday, Brett, Mary, and Libby, and happy feast of the Queenship of Mary. Libby, watch out, or Brett might throw something at you. He has a history."
Look,
he does have
I
a
don't
history
think he's
going to
do that. Brett has always been a gentleman to me.
Dane deserved it, to be fair. When I don't even remember, what did I throw at Dane?
It's a sticky note.
I threw a sticky note at Dane once, but he had it coming.
Yeah, he had it coming.
I would never hit a woman.
Shane H. Wilder said, "See, Mary gets me. I is not dumb. I is just born that ways." I understand you. Siringo Productions said, "Speaking of reality TV, Mary, have you watched the newest reality show to be released by the corporations, The Anonymous?"
Sounds ominous.
What is that?
What is The Anonymous?
Okay, let me look it up.
Is it it's like people trying out to work for the Hacker Collective?
Oh, I don't know.
CIA casting calls. Okay, so this is social strategy competition series. Contestants must remain anonymous to collect up to $100,000 by playing a game of perception and deception. straddling two realities, face-to-face interactions and anonymous digital conversations. Is this on Netflix? Because I feel like I saw something like this. So the contestants have to interact with each other face-to-face, but in the digital world, they communicate anonymously. The goal is to conceal one's true identity and manipulate others without being discovered. That's interesting.
Interesting.
I think it's on Netflix, though, if I recall correctly. I would give it a watch.
Let's do one more.
Shane H. Wilder said if they don't allow someone to say Ohio, what if they have to discuss the Yellow Creek Massacre or the Treaty of Paris in U.S. history? That's cap.
There you go.
You just can't.
Or they're going to sing the Hawthorne Heights song.
They're getting censored. They're not allowed to talk about Ohio.
All right, Mary, it's time to talk about how every polyamorous couple is full of ugly people.
I have an opinion, and it's not an opinion, it's a fact. And it's that all polyamorous people are ugly, tragically ugly. Someone tweeted about this, and now it has 15.8 million views. They said, how is every poly person ugly? This does seem to be a trend. Every time that you see people making TikToks about their polyamorous relationships, for some reason, everyone involved is either obese, dysgenic looking, unwashed, just generally disgusting looking. It's a prime example of physiognomy being real. So someone responded to this tweet saying, hot poly people, drop in the chat. I'm trying to see something. So they wanted all of these polyamorous people in the polyamorous community to respond with their super hot, sizzling selfies. And what they actually found is they are all tragically ugly. The entire thread turned into a freak show. So we've pulled up some examples to show you. And yes, we will be bullying these people because they invited it. They put themselves out there claiming to be hot. So we're going to correct the record on that.
Oh, dear.
Brett, do the honors, will you?
Look, which one are we starting with here? Are we starting with okay?
Up to you here.
First one, I think we should maybe give some grace because they don't seem to say that they're actually think that they're really good looking. But this at least this dude seems to be self-aware.
Yeah, Shane H. Wilder responded to me with that one. Just has a lazy eye. So we're starting off strong.
Says, I'm okay, not stunning, but nicer looking than I used to be.
That's not what they asked for.
Okay.
They asked for hot poly people.
Okay, so he should have not...
Stay out of the conversation.
Should have stayed out of the conversation. All right. All right. There was this one. Are we going to...
That's for after we show the examples. This person just hid their face.
I mean, I can't know about this one.
So that's telling. You posted yourself with your face completely covered with an N95 mask.
It is matching.
Yeah. Color coordination. We got that.
All right.
This person thinks they're hot.
Sharp dresser.
Cool.
Sharp dresser.
Great.
All right.
This person also thinks they're hot.
Okay.
There's a lot of these people that think that they are hot.
Someone should tell them.
Look,
that's what we're doing. We're telling them that they're not.
There is a certain level of self-delusion that's palpable on the internet these days where you're better. Remember yesterday I was talking about like humble bragging? You're better off with false modesty than just like leaning into it when you're not.
Yeah. I'm sure all of the other poly people were telling them that they're hot. This is a morbidly obese lingerie model with pink hair. Yeah. So yeah, that was one of the top replies.
Okay.
Yeah, this person also thinks they're hot. Can't imagine why.
I mean, with those glasses, they could be like an evil German scientist in a movie for sure.
You're being charitable.
An evil German scientist. They could be an evil German scientist. All right, let's do one more. We got that one.
This person just looks like Ethan Klein if he were on prep.
Just normal hair. Just dye your hair back to a normal color. And
look, I would never go out of my way to like search out these people's profiles and drag them for their looks, but they're the ones who are putting their own pictures up in the replies, claiming that they're hot and representing the poly community. So I feel like we're perfectly within bounds here. Okay. But after this thread blew up and people were saying you're proving their point, all poly people are ugly, one of the somewhat normal looking poly people made a video saying this is a disaster, please stop putting us on blast like this, we need a PR campaign.
This one?
This one, yes.
Tweet on Twitter that was like, why are all polyamorous people ugly? So I was like, hot poly people, drop in the chat, I'm trying to see something. Why are you guys posting shit in kinkwear with cat ears? You know it's not helping. They're flaming us. The ratios in the quotes are like crazy.
I really appreciate the self-awareness.
I like that.
I do.
Before we continue, we have a 20 from VWit. Brett, pull up the Freedom Tunes our favorite Potato Man did on this, and none of these people are hot. Oh, Jeebus, I have like 100 more characters. I didn't think this super chat through.
Well, thank you for that.
Well, we don't want to get copyright claimed by Seamus.
Yeah, I don't like. He might steal my spoons if we do that. Here we go.
We need to hire a publicist. I don't fucking know. But we're not helping the case. You guys, you're posting naked. You're posting yourself sucking your fingers. You're posting yourself with cattail butt plugs. What do you think they mean when they say like that's not helping? Who's normal? Who's normal in please?
I mean, this is kind of what the Hollywood myth around it is, right? It's like they show you, like I mentioned that episode of Elementary, where it's like they're just three doctors who just happen to be in a throuple. It happens.
They're totally normal.
Look, and I'm sure that exists somewhere. I am sure, but the thing is, those people aren't online,
and they're not the majority.
If it does exist, they're not posting about it on social media.
Yeah.
So.
We're not necessarily trying to attract normies. We meaning you. But I'm kind of a normie. Polyamory and kink tend to overlap, but they're not mutually exclusive. And I'm not a very kinky person. And so when I'm on field, I'm swiping through and I see someone with a fucking tail and a collar. Goodbye!
This person's kind of my hero. I'm not going to lie. She's speaking truth to power right now.
So
they don't want to hear it.
She's just like into multiples.
You know what it is?
Yeah.
She's your normie friend that still hangs out in the group, right? She lurks in the group chat.
Yeah.
This lady's kind of my hero right now.
I can't fucking. There is not a dimension in existence where I'm gonna be dating someone who dresses like a fucking cat. And no judgment.
Of course, you have to preface.
Your thing. You deserve rights and respect. I think we're scaring away the people who are maybe like on the fence. They're on the fence, but they don't want all the cats.
It's a bird. It's a bird. I thought it was a
She's
smoke
got a bird
detector.
at the background.
No.
Where are the poly people in blazers? With 401ks? Where the fuck are the poly people with retirement?
You know what?
With
They
like
call
a
themselves
regular
swingers.
dog, with
Those are
the
like
right amount of
Republican
legs.
swingers. That's what those
Where
are.
are you? God.
That's funny.
This is my favorite video
Finance,
on the
6'5",
internet today.
Trust fund, poly, where are you?
They don't exist.
That was the greatest thing I've seen all day.
That's really fun.
It was just a mounting crescendo of rationality that just went over everyone's head.
Yeah, well, I think what she might not be realizing is that this lifestyle, being as degenerate as it is, will attract degenerate people who are dysfunctional in all the other areas of their lives. And it tends to be obvious that that's the case on the surface. We have another 20 from Ben Tomsky. I've said it before and I'll keep saying it. Polyamory is for those individuals who are so unhappy and undeveloped as people. It takes 3 or more of them to add up to a whole relationship. Change my mind. Well, I think what it is endless novelty seeking and using people. That's what it is. Yeah. Because if one person can't provide you everything you want in a product, in a commodity, then you're just going to seek someone to fill in the gaps.
That lady was probably feels so disenfranchised. I guarantee you, she's like, look, I'm weird, but I'm not as weird as everybody else. Like, she feels like a constant
I'm not like
outsider.
the other polys.
She feels just like a
I'm
constant.
different.
She feels like a constant outsider.
I'm demure and cutesy.
Yeah.
I'm not like you other poly people.
Yeah.
But the
Did you see
dunking,
that trans demure person? Did you
yes,
guys
we were
talk
talking about that trend yesterday.
That was quite a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not demure, not cutesy.
Not demure, not cutesy.
I thought I would. I decided because you said like they're all, and it seems to be that all of the evidence is true, right? So it's like, what about celebrities who believe in polyamory? And I just did a cursory search and found this old article from Cosmo.
Oh.
This is 12 polyamorous celebrities who have opened up about non-monogamy.
All right, who do we got? RuPaul.
We're off to a rough start.
All right.
Okay, but
Cool. Who's this?
Will and Jada Smith.
That's just cheating.
Yeah,
Moving
that
on.
Well,
is
no,
just
it's an
cheating.
entanglement.
It's an entanglement. That's not polyamory.
What did they say? The
That's
couple,
just cuckoldry.
The couple has been outspoken about their exploration of an open marriage in 2021 with Smith, which he discussed with GQ, of course, it left him
Here's the
permanently
thing.
scarred.
In every case with these people who call themselves polyamorous, one of them really wants it, the other one is going along with it.
And the other one just doesn't want to lose their person.
Right.
And
Which was Will
feels
Smith.
like total trash about the whole thing and really hates it.
Hence Will Smith being a husk of his former self.
Bella
it's
Thorne?
terrible. Yeah,
Bella
it's terrible.
Thorne.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Very well-adjusted person.
Yeah. Youngblood,
Oh, great. The guy who spits on his fans.
Kalani. We just.
Oh, the girl who's in a sex cult.
Yep.
All of these normal
That's a
people.
sex cult. That's not polyamory. That's different.
Willow Smith.
It's genetic.
It's genetic. Shailene Woodley.
I didn't know that.
Didn't die there. Ezra Miller. Makes perfect
Oh,
sense.
totally normal person. Yeah.
India Moore. Well, I mean,
Never heard of her.
we're not talking about normal here. We were just talking about convention, who would be considered conventionally
Well, here's
attractive.
the thing. When people point out that right-wing women scientifically are more attractive than
Yeah.
left-wing women, what they do is respond with pictures of like supermodels who are Democrats. And it's like, no, that's not really
That doesn't really
representative
quite
of the
do it.
whole population.
It's the
it's an
sliding
aesthetic.
scale.
At this point, it's an aesthetic. It's not like genetics even. It's just an aesthetic.
Right.
Like the left wing aesthetic is to not look great. I mean,
Yeah.
you look sort of like schlumpy.
Like Ella
and-
Emhoff.
Yeah, she doesn't look great. Yeah, no, she doesn't look great.
And
She's
I was posting about her saying like she's a perfectly nice looking girl. She just makes herself ugly on purpose.
she does it on purpose, and that's sort
what
of
they
the
do.
aesthetic. Yeah, I mean, you wear like, I don't know, like big Birkenstocks, which they're comfy, but nobody looks good in them. They're not like a good fashion statement.
Right, that's not the reason you buy them.
You don't wear them because they look good. You wear them because they are comfy and you can spread out in them, like big extra comfy pants, or like wearing your pajamas in public. Or even if you look at people who are like going out trying to look sexy, even the sexy aesthetic is just trashy and gross. It's not put together. It doesn't look good when you don't look good when you're wearing a shirt that is totally see-through. Like that
not
doesn't make you look
demure.
good. It doesn't make you look good. It doesn't look, like put on a nice dress.
Yeah, like respect other people enough to not inflict your savagery on them.
Enhance what you've got
Yes.
instead of making it all look worse.
Yeah, it shows a profound like self-hatred, but also disrespecting everyone else in society when you can't just present yourself in a respectable way. It's like grow past the phase you were in middle school where you didn't want to wear pants to church.
Right. Or when you thought making yourself look ugly was a way to not feel bad about not feeling pretty. If that makes sense.
As a guy, I have no idea what that means.
What?
I mean, I get it. I get it on an intellectual level, but I don't think
Well,
guys.
it's like a cope. It's a
Okay.
cope.
It's a cope. Yeah,
basically.
for sure. There you
Okay.
go.
like
But the dunking continued. One person said, every poly person I see on TikTok looks like they smell like the water left in the pot after you boil hot dogs.
Oh, yeah.
They're hot dog water people.
Yeah, that's not great looking. Oh dear.
Your husband is in there with his other partner and they're prettier than you. And then the caption says, my excitement because they're my partner too and I get to join in.
I'm done.
Yuck.
Yeah. And, aside from the poly people who tend to be on the younger side, the boomers are swingers.
Right.
So the swinger community is thriving in Florida. This person says, I've been in Florida for 10 years now. We all learn what the pineapple means at a certain point. The swingers in
pineapple?
this state are creepy and aggressive. They signal to each other using pineapples. The symbol of swingers is an upside down pineapple. And you can see this boomer couple in a Walmart humping the shelves.
Ew.
So, yeah.
How dare they defile that song?
That ruined the song for me forever. This is how they're signaling this is their mating call, basically. They hump pineapples in Walmart.
Fucking hate it so much.
And some people are making this about discrimination and oppression. One person said, are you guys ready to have the conversation about polyamorous people being mocked for being ugly as a thinly veiled disguise for transphobia and homophobia yet?
Wait, it's also probably racist. Don't forget that. And it's heteronormative.
The groups that are more likely to be non-monogamous are queer people. The majority of people insulted I have seen in that thread are visibly queer.
Yeah.
Okay, the fact that someone being visibly queer is a thing is a sign that you're going down the wrong path.
It's actually visibly amoral.
Yes. Yes.
It's not visibly, like, there's plenty of gay people you don't know if they're gay, but queer is a political identity and is an amoral perspective. It's an amoral worldview.
If you are visibly queer or visibly polyamorous, you don't have a personality.
Well, you definitely don't have a moral perspective on the world.
It's just like no one thinks that you're like special in like this special club. You know, like
oddly enough, the only one who had any unique personality was the one telling everybody else not to be weird.
Right.
Yeah, but I think that she would, you know, actually learn a monogamous relationship is better for her.
She should probably go and do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She should try being normal for once. That would be a good thing. Let's read some super chats here. Corey Anderson said, Skibbity Riz, PCC, y'all the best podcast on YouTube, no diggity. Mary, Libby, y'all looking mad fly. Brett, y'all need to have HCB back on ASAP, not Rocky.
Wow, that was verbose. I liked it.
Go tell her that.
Yeah.
Go request it from her. High Voltage 75 said Skibbity Libbity. Is that what they're calling you now? That's your new nickname?
Let's not do that. That's banned in all middle schools.
Okay.
Skibbity Libbity.
Banned. Greg Duvier said, Hollywood made me a conspiracy theorist. Movies like Enemy of the State or any other movie that involves government cover-up.
Enemy of the State with Will Smith is fantastic.
I have never seen that.
You should see it.
Should I? I will watch it.
If you like...
Is that back when he was cool?
It was 98. Yeah, it was the height of cool.
Oh, so he was good then.
Yeah.
Before he was buck broken?
Yep.
Oh, that is so sad.
Corey Anderson said, y'all ever sing songs but change the words to add your pet into them? Example, I got your picture. I'm coming with Dear Barley. Count me in. There's some food in your dog bowl. Time to get in.
No, I've never done that, but I don't have any pets.
No,
anymore.
I think it's just you,
safely
Corey.
say that is just you, Corey.
Yeah.
Let's do one more.
Shane H. Wilder said, Narcos brat, so Pablo Escobar is brat.
Yeah,
I mean, if Nancy Pelosi, a crime boss, can be brat, so can Pablo Escobar.
Based.
Why not?
All
Does
right.
Nancy Pelosi have a boob job?
Well, some people say they're natural.
I'm sure she was just born that way.
This is just natural gift.
And if she did, then it should be inspected to see if taxpayer money went to fund them, because I need to know.
Okay.
All right, it's time to move on.
Okay.
It's time to. I'm not even gonna. You just tell everybody what's going on with.
Yes. On a recent episode of Call Her Daddy, Alex Cooper told her audience about how she bonded with her now husband over her journey of accepting her diagnosis of HPV. She said, I think I was scared to vocalize one of my biggest fears, which was the possibility that this mistake I made years ago was going to impact my fertility. She said, in an attempt to improve her relationship with the man who gave her HPV, she decided to get physical with him, only to find out weeks later that she had gotten HPV from him. Now, she kept the details
about that. Like, what does she mean by improve her relationship?
What she means by that is, I wanted this guy to like me, so I slept with him. Which is unfortunately something that a lot of women think is effective. It's not.
Is it not effective? That doesn't work.
So Alex Cooper kept the details of what happened during that time to herself. But now, meeting her soon-to-be husband, Matt Kaplan, who happens to be a very rich and famous film producer himself, she had to disclose the fact that she had contracted HPV to her now husband.
I suppose we can see the upside of this is that she didn't keep it a secret like the people talking about, you know.
Okay, but how far were they into their relationship before this came up?
Yeah, like
that's what you got.
Was this the first date? Did she wait till after they had sex? What? Like, I need to know.
Yeah. She said, at this point, Matt and I were starting to get serious when we were dating, and for the first time, it just sucked because I could really envision a future with this man. I think I was scared to vocalize one of my biggest fears, which is that this mistake I made years ago was going to impact my fertility. Matt was the first person I had dated that made me realize I even wanted to have kids. It wasn't until a doctor recommended she undergo LEAP, a loop electrical excision procedure, which can remove abnormal tissue from the cervix, that she shared what happened to him.
So she got cured of it first?
I don't think
But
it's
they were
considered a cure.
Probably already sleeping together. If they were
Yeah.
starting to get serious,
Yeah.
that means they had already slept together probably.
So this is like, I need to know first, is it transmissible, or is what we're talking about here, it wasn't about worrying about giving it to him, it was worried about what the ramifications for her own fertility would be with this disease she already had.
And she wasn't worried about giving it to him. She was worried about him leaving her because of it.
Can she give it to him?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know.
That's how it's spread. It's an STD.
Okay. I'm saying, like, does it have to be during an outbreak? I don't know what the rules are for this.
It's not like herpes.
Okay.
Well, you can't hide it for very long.
I'm Jesse Ventura here. I'm just asking questions. Okay?
She said, I knew I was going to have to be honest about it, and I told him everything, and he couldn't have been more loving and understanding and supportive. So after she got that procedure, she got test results revealing that she was HPV negative. She said, I've had conversations with him like, what if I still have it? And I'll say, you know, you have the right partner, ladies, when they don't give an F and they're just there to support you and love you, and it doesn't matter. Matt was so loving and was like, I already know you're the love of my life. I want to marry you one day. I'm here. We're going to figure this out. And it made me feel so much better in the waiting process, knowing that he didn't think less of me. So they tied the knot in April, in this giant wedding bash in Mexico with a feature in Vogue. And there, she's just living the dream.
She just signed like a huge deal with SiriusXM, right? $125 million. Who am I to tell this lady how to live her life? She's clearly doing something, right?
Super successful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, something like 50% of Americans have HPV or will get it at some point.
Wow.
I think it depends on the type, right?
I'm just reading the AI overview of the CDC real quick. So I'm not verifying this information. It says in 2017, the CDC reported that 42.5% of all adults between the ages of 18 and 59 had genital HPV, and 22.7 had high risk genital HPV.
Okay. So I'm assuming most of them don't know they have it.
Oral HPV.
Okay. Most of them don't know they have it, but I assume if she found out that she had it, it became a severe case, which makes sense because she built her entire brand for years on the Call Her Daddy podcast of being very promiscuous, promoting hookup culture to other women.
I remember when it was going around when she was getting married, and Linda was from Mostly Peaceful Latinas was talking about how this is proof that, look, even the hoes get a happy ending too. So most of the time when men say that they don't, it's a cope. I don't know whether that's true or not. I don't have any data on any of that, but it is interesting.
Well, I mean, yes, she got her happy ending. I don't think that her life story is proof of anything that, you know, having a hoe phase doesn't bear consequences for your life. Obviously it has, since she contracted an STD from it. This is a description of one of her podcast episodes from several years ago. Welcome to Slut Camp, where you will learn how to conceal the slut and trick your man into thinking you are wifey material. Everyone deserves a slut phase with no repercussions. 5 years later, she's getting married in Mexico. So for her, maybe there weren't any repercussions. He didn't leave her or feel uncomfortable with her past.
Well, he must have already known about it because it's right there. It's very public.
Yeah, he would know about her history. He probably didn't know that she had an STD that he almost certainly has as well.
Well, I mean, they're lucky that it's not a worse one, probably.
But what's kind of sinister about this is she used this as a launch pad to talk about how women are controlled by shame and how women need to give themselves more grace. So let's take a look at that.
Well, as I always tell you, Mary, there's nothing women are more ready to do than to forgive themselves for everything they've ever done. They love that.
Let's take a look at that clip from her episode.
This one here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
For some reason, I didn't allow anyone to support me. And I think a big part of that was shame. As women, the word and the concept and the feeling of shame, it's literally in everything we do all day, every day. It is ever present. Maybe as you get older, it gets a little better, but I don't really think It just maybe looks a little bit different, or you know how to handle it a little bit differently, but it's still there. And so I just want to say to my younger self and to every woman watching and listening, like, we need to.
Thank you, guys. We also got a 20 from the Manic Mustache. He said, late as always. Late as usual, but apropos to rap, my daughter is a teacher. If I heard she was doing cringe TikToks in class, I would take her home and ask her husband how she got out of the kitchen in the first place. Stay toxic, my friends. Yeah, hopefully your daughter is not rapping to her students. That would not be a good sign.
Society goes out of its way today to tell not just women, but people in general to not really feel shame.
Let's finish her statement here.
To give ourselves more grace. There was no reason for me to sit for years and beat myself up. I was having a goddamn near panic attack every time I went to the gyno for years. I was storing so much fucking stress in my body. And like, yes, while I was like anxious about the HPV, when I look back, more of the anxiety was really coming from the shame I felt of sleeping with this person. Like the shame of maybe I did deserve this. Trust me, that went through my head. You felt so uncomfortable. Why did you sleep with him? This is your fault. You should have known better. Of course, a random guy is going to give you a fucking STD, Alex. Like, it makes me so sad that like my head went there. But we do get so down on ourselves as women, especially when it involves anything sexual.
So she heard that logical voice in her head and silenced it in record timing. Her logical voice was telling her, you know, you shouldn't have slept with that stranger who gave you an STD. That was a bad choice.
But her reasoning for that she should not have done it is because she doesn't like the consequences, not because there's any moral reason why you shouldn't go around sleeping with strangers.
Right.
Radical ownership of your own mistakes and actions.
That is not a popular sentiment.
No, but and you shouldn't feel ashamed for owning your mistakes either.
That's the point,
like
right?
you use your mistakes to move forward and not mistake it. You know, go forth and sin no more.
You would feel the shame initially, and then you work to change the behavior, right? You don't tell yourself, I didn't do anything wrong. You say, I made a mistake. I have to change my behavior going forward.
So she went even further into this explanation, telling her audience what her thought process was in sleeping with this random guy who made her uncomfortable. And
that's so weird. Why would you sleep with a random guy that makes you uncomfortable that you don't even really like?
Well, let's see if her explanation makes sense. Let's hear
Just go home. And I still to this day can't fully articulate why I didn't leave, which sadly I think is so fucking relatable for women. Like, why didn't you leave? Like, you were uncomfortable. Like, what did you think was going to change? Like, why did you stay? Like, I think as backwards as it sounds, because of how uncomfortable and awkward it was with this person, I didn't know what to do other than stay and suck it up. Like, I didn't want to make the other person feel more uncomfortable. So I tried to like appease the situation and make it better, because staying and being miserable somehow felt easier than like pissing someone off and getting in this fight and like leaving and acknowledging how awkward it was. And since he wasn't saying anything, I was not going to say anything. And like, I don't know, maybe only women will understand that, but like it is confusing, and yet like it's not confusing at all. Like, I feel like we've all been there where we're like, I didn't really want to do that, or I wasn't really into it, but then like I didn't know how to get myself out of the situation, and I'm like in an apartment with these two men, and like he had already been being snappy. It was just it was awful. It was a bad situation.
So that was her explanation. She felt uncomfortable with this guy she barely knew, wanted to appease him, so she decided to stay in this situation, which is uncomfortable at best, dangerous at worst, and she slept with him, and now she has to face lifelong consequences for it by contracting an STD from this guy,
which she apparently now doesn't have anymore.
Well, I don't know how it works, like medically, if there is a cure for it, or if you just have it for life. But yeah, it clearly had long-term ramifications, not just, you know, physically, but also mentally, because she was torturing herself over making this decision she shouldn't have made. And instead of just admitting to herself, like, this was a mistake, I made the wrong choice, and I'm going to do better going forward, she decided to justify it and say, like, all women go through this, and actually, it's not my fault. Like, sometimes it's your fault.
Yeah.
And it's very sad because I think this is how most women think. We got a 20 from Pop Culture Junkie. Smart people learned from their mistakes. Brilliant people learn from other people's mistakes. Brilliant people learn from... oh, you repeated the same thing. Yeah, I mean, I cannot relate to this on any level. When I listen to women explain these situations they've been in, I do not understand it because I'm a highly disagreeable person. But the reason this is an experience that a lot of women relate on is because the vast majority of women are naturally very high in agreeability. And they are natural people pleasers. They naturally want to go along to get along and put a smile on their face. And that's just part of female nature. It's not instilled in us by the patriarchy. It's literally how we are born and evolved for thousands of years to behave. And now that we are living in a culture that encourages promiscuity, encourages sexual experimentation, and has completely devalued virtues like chastity, and no longer regards women as people that need extra protection, this is the recipe for endless heartbreak and endless regret and endless brokenness in so many people. And it really kills me inside that this is the norm.
Well, it goes both ways though, right? Because if her explanation had been that she went there with these guys and she had been drinking too much and she felt uncomfortable and didn't know how to leave, then suddenly she's the victim and they took advantage of her or whatever it is.
And it's more comfortable to think that.
Right. And that's that's like the other side of it. It's like you say that we live in a culture that that doesn't respect chastity and encourages sexual promiscuity, and in fact makes it almost a moral virtue, right? This like sexual promiscuity thing. But you but you also have a situation where women are not held accountable for their own choices. So if she didn't want to be held accountable to this choice, she wouldn't have to be.
Meaning if she accused this guy of something?
If she accused this guy of something, or if she said, I felt uneasy and it was his fault and that's why.
Yeah, which to be fair to her, I don't think her explanation of this story, places the blame entirely on him.
The strongest compliment I can give this is she doesn't seem to be completely throwing the blame on this dude.
Right.
But she's also saying that she's not to blame either. So what is it? Magic? It just happened, right? Like, again, radical ownership of your own actions and responsibilities is the best path forward for situations like this that are so murky. And I kind of abhor the idea that you promote the idea. Look, you and me are different. Like, I don't care if people want to go out and make a bunch of debaucherous decisions for themselves, but they make those decisions for themselves and own the consequences that come with them. So if you want to do this and you want to promote this ideology to people, you need to also promote the fact that there's going to be consequences that will be of your own making for your behavior. Not, oh, it just happened, and I guess as a woman, I should do what we should always do, which is just, I need to forgive myself. I made a mistake and I shouldn't learn from that mistake. I should forgive myself and pretend like what I did wasn't bad anyways.
I do have a problem with proclaiming the ideology of debauchery. Like, I don't think that that's a worthwhile undertaking, and I do have issue with people saying,
I understand
because I have this lifestyle, that means I think everyone should have it, when it is something that is, lacking in morality.
Like, I understand that. Like, what people draw the lines differently.
I don't have issues with people, living their lives the way that they see fit and accepting the consequences and not blaming other people for their choices. Like, that's fine with me. But I don't appreciate when people are like, polyamory is the best course of life for you and your children. I don't appreciate that.
I mean, you could tie this into the discussion on abortion, right? They want to talk about choice, but they don't talk about the endless other choices that are there besides the abortion itself, right? Whether it's condoms, whether it's birth control, whether it's IUDs. They want a specific choice, and then they want anybody who claims to disagree with it to be seen as evil for asking them to, look, you're going to embark on sexual activity, you're going to be sexually active, you're responsible for your actions, and the problem with that is you're creating another life in that process, and there is this gap now where people believe that your actions should be completely devoid of any responsibility for the choices you make.
we were talking about this a lot off air. And I think there are some things I can't say right now without getting it massively misconstrued and demeaning to women. Nothing I say is meant to demean women or say that they don't have culpability when they do something wrong. But we used to live in a culture that protected women from, first of all, their own bad impulses, and second of all, from sleazy men who had predatory or lecherous intentions with women. And women are no longer seen as things that need protecting. And there has been a massive human cost to that. And that's why I place extra scrutiny on her, Alex
because
Cooper,
she's a part of that machine that does that.
She is part of that ideology. She has pushed for years that women should jump into bed with strangers, and that's a good thing. And it actually, you should keep a roster of men that you're cycling through constantly and treat all of them as slabs of meat. But and then yourself as a slab of meat.
But
and
then when you get an STD, you say, how was I supposed to know?
We're all just animated meat bags that penetrate each other, and there's nothing more meaningful about it. But I think women would do better to listen to their gut instincts. If no one else is going to tell them, they should listen to their own gut instincts, because I know that women feel this is not right. I know that people are deeply dissatisfied with the way we're living right now.
And I understand that my perspective might be that of a more male belief system in ownership of your actions at all levels, because at the end of the day, you can't, it's a very, very simple and repeatable phrase, but the idea, like, you can't always control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond to it. It's a platitude, but it's true.
Yeah. That 20 real quick from VWit. Mary, we got you. Just read the super chats. Did I miss one? I don't think I missed one. So.
Look, you can't always control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond to it. In this case, you can control what happens to you as well.
True.
And you don't,
All right, let's finish up these super chats. Ben Tomsky said, I never played the game and thus I won the game. Makes as much sense as the rest of it.
Fair enough.
Congrats. John Barrett said, hashtag mocha for IRL, mocha for all, hashtag cage derp for IRL.
I don't know what any of the last of that meant, but there will be no mocha on IRL.
Or PCC. Shane H. Wilder said, try harder, Mary. I've seen the cringe. Okay, if you're like doom scrolling constantly, how am I ever going to find one you haven't seen? Corey Anderson said, of course the cringe has a Stanley. Hashtag would. Okay, you are alone in that. Sorenko Productions said, no cell phones, please, as she is being filmed on one.
Right.
Well, yeah, I mean,
only the teacher pet is allowed to have that.
The hypocrisy
in class. Corey Anderson said, can some change their name to Seamus for potatoes?
Seamus for potatoes.
It's a completely different potatoes.
Patrick Morris said, yo, looks like Ethan Klein on prep sent me LMAO. Thank you. I'm glad you appreciated that. Corey Anderson said, I have never seen Mary as happy as now. Mary loves dunking on poly people, and I am here for it. Bigums should be clothed at all times. Hashtag never nudes.
Bigums.
Wait, what does that mean?
The lady with the lingerie, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, bigums.
Yeah. Shane H. Wilder said, I stand by my opinion of the one with the lazy eye. You can get that fixed.
Amblyopia?
Amblyopia? Is that it? Surgery is common for this condition. I guess they put your
somebody just
lazy eye back
in there
where it
and
should
just
be.
Pulls it around and faces it the other way.
Interesting.
Yeah, they should get on that. Sorenko Productions said, okay, God owes Sodom and Gomorrah an apology now, for real, for real. Why?
Yeah.
He was totally in the right. Shane H. Wilder said, Del Monte should sue swingers for co-opting pineapples.
They make pineapples.
Oh, okay.
Well, pineapples used to be a symbol of welcome in the Pilgrim days.
Well, it's all been turned upside down.
Because
slutty
pilgrims
pilgrims now.
Rare that it was like it's a sign of welcome. That's why you'll see it on like welcome mats and stuff like that.
The Chronicles of Mexico said, Tates are free because there's no crime called Loverboy Method. It is human trafficking by the Loverboy Method. You have to prove the human trafficking first. If not, you just made marriage illegal.
Well, we'll have to wait and see how it all turns out for them. Like I said, I just keep wondering why they haven't prosecuted yet, why they haven't gone forward with the case. It's been, what, 2 years now?
What you mean, like why they haven't gone to trial?
Like since they've been arrested. I mean, it's been over a year.
Well, I mean, we're used to the way things go in our own criminal justice system.
I mean, it takes that long for like a capital murder case to go to trial.
Sure.
But, you know, this is not that.
Yeah. I don't really think they have rights in Romania. Like, if you're a Romanian citizen, they just, like, don't really care about civil liberties.
Well, they used to
It's
have
not a thing.
Ceausescu. Like, he was a communist dictator. Very dangerous.
Mm-hmm. But I just think, I would assume they're, like, a lot less concerned with
I'm sure of
their
that.
own
Yeah.
citizens having rights. Sorenko Productions said, don't want an STD, don't have sex. It's that easy. LOL. Life hack. If you don't want HPV, don't sleep with a stranger. Manny Quintero said, there are HPV vaccines out there. I took it already.
Oh,
That's for before
there's
you
the-
contract
Yeah,
it.
Gardasil.
Yeah.
And it was like a whole issue because
You know what she's missing out on right
schools
now?
were like, everyone was just sort of like forcing it on kids.
She's missing a huge big pharma sponsorship that she could be
Oh,
obtaining
that's a
right
great
now.
idea. She should do that.
I guess she didn't.
Monetize your
25
illness.
million.
Yeah.
Too late now. Pat the plumber said no cure for HPV. Don't ask how I know. Yeah, I thought I'd seen that. Like, if you contract it, it can kind of flare up and go away at different points, but you're always going to have it. So she's stuck with that for life, I think. V-Wit.
I need to ask, how do you feel about the boyfriend, then husband's reaction, right? Like, because we didn't really get details on had they already had sex and then she told him, because if she
most
didn't
likely,
tell
yeah.
him beforehand, then he's an idiot for being that understanding. He should at least be furious that she did not tell him beforehand.
Yeah. She didn't go into detail probably because it makes her look bad.
Okay.
I'm just assuming, he's being a good male feminist and being supportive no matter what, honey. V-Wit said, hoes be hoeing, send them to the farm. Is that what Dr. Phil says? It's like, send them to the ranch.
Sounds like it.
Or is he saying that they should become spies and
Look, the ranch never fixed anyone.
go to... Yeah.
Shane H. Wilder said, don't you know it is for better or for worse, for gonorrhea and for chlamydia? LMAO. Yeah, I'm sure that was part of their wedding vows. The Chronicles of Mexico said, just because Alex Cooper got married doesn't mean she married her first choice. Any girl can get a simp to get on one knee.
I mean, she said that, look, if we're supposed to take her at her word, she acted that way. She said he was the first guy I could see myself having kids with.
Seems to
all
like
of
him
this
well enough,
stuff.
and he's rich too. I mean, I think all she proved is that, if you're famous, rich, and attractive and have connections, then you have a good pool of people to date and marry. Doesn't mean that her hoe phase had no consequences for her marriage viability, right?
Guys, we're almost to that third crisis party. Let's go.
V-Wit said, I already read that one. Sorenko Productions, because America is now more degenerate than Sodom and Gomorrah.
I think that might be true.
Is it?
Yeah.
Just more connected because of the internet.
And there's so many more people, and there's so many more different ways of being horrible to yourself and to each other.
Technology.
And Sodom and Gomorrah didn't have like
Grindr.
internet porn, and you know, that's really a pretty big downside.
Well,
Alien face hugger shaped dildos.
I don't have like living memory of this, but before you got here, Libby, Brett said our society was no less degenerate 20 years ago. Do you think that's true?
I believe that it always existed. It's just that the internet makes it more accessible for people to share it with other
But
people.
you said it existed at the same prevalence.
I disagree. I think that society has increased in degeneracy, and I think a big reason for that is that no one feels like they need to hide their degeneracy, and that is a form of degeneracy in itself. Saying like,
okay, I could have
saying
been
like my, like going out there and wearing a puppy costume and sucking off guys in the streets of San Francisco as though that's perfectly acceptable, and saying this is perfectly acceptable behavior.
I will retract
is
my
more degenerate than 20 years ago when you know, people were doing what they did in clubs, but you had to show ID to get in.
I will retract my statement and say it's hard to believe that it hasn't gotten worse given the prevalence of the internet and the way information and ideas flow more freely now. So you're probably right.
I think it's both and. Like, yes, technology is amplifying it to people it was never meant to reach, but it's also actually in sheer numbers gaining in prevalence.
And culturally, it's not shunned the way it used to be.
The Manic Mustache said, hard to prosecute pimps. That's why Snoop D-O-double-G is not in jail. World's most famous Crip traffic controller.
Look, I read an article the other year said, isn't it weird how Snoop Dogg is still active as a gang member and just is allowed to do that? I have no idea if that's true, but it was an interesting concept to think about. It's like, you know, he's kind of evil, but he's so likable. We'll just leave him.
Our unproblematic gang member.
Yeah, you know, look at him. He's friends with Martha Stewart.
How
he's
could
so
he be
likable.
that bad of a guy? Yeah. Potatoes for Seamus said, falling hurts. I smashed my potato bone. No, not your potato bone. That's terrible.
I do love that clip from like the Breakfast Club where like the woman's like, with the way things are now, like, do you feel bad about the way you used to talk about women? He's like, fuck no.
Wait, who said that?
Snoop Dogg.
Oh, okay.
He's like, fuck no, that was me.
Yeah, but he doesn't keep that same energy.
I mean, I don't know if he talks like that now. I refuse to believe that he talks so rudely to Martha Stewart.
Shane H. Wilder said, good luck at the Crow tonight.
Yeah.
Mary, don't let the reboot turn you off from giving the original a chance. I'm assuming the reboot is going to suck.
Look, somebody did dunk on me a little bit in the chat or in the comments yesterday on the episode saying that I didn't sell it to you well enough because I was saying what I liked about it. They were saying
you like misinterpreted it, but they were like, no, it's like about true love.
No, they were saying that like I was telling you the things that I liked about it, the things about the film that I enjoyed and not what you would probably enjoy, which is that it is a story about undying true love and what somebody would do to avenge the loss of someone they truly cared about.
So John Wick?
Did you like John Wick?
I only watched like half of part 4.
I
never watched the first John Wick.
Well, you'd have to see the first one to,
right.
Yeah. Like in fact, it's actually like you do yourself a huge disservice. Like the movie becomes an overblown, you know, action franchise after the fact, but the core elements, the through line story of John Wick is that of what somebody would do in grief to avenge the death and the loss of somebody, the memory of somebody they loved. So
High Voltage
and
75.
what they would do for dogs.
Did you ever see The Crow?
The original, like going back,
yeah,
the one where he got killed and stuff.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Did you like it?
No,
sounds like a no.
I just couldn't get it out of my head that the kid died.
Okay.
One of the interesting things to do now is you can go back through on the internet and look up exactly what scenes were finished after he died and what scenes weren't. 90%, like pretty much the whole film was done.
Yeah.
There are some interstitial shots that are done about from his resurrection that had to be CGI'd, that they had to do with computers. One crazy thing is true is that they made a crow, like a lifelike crow mask of his face for stuntmen to wear. And they tried to use that to shoot those shots, and everybody said it was too uncanny, it was too creepy, and they burned it.
Oh,
interesting.
It's not even going to go in a museum somewhere.
No, they got rid of that thing.
High Voltage
death
75.
masks are creepy.
Yeah. Yep.
High Voltage 75 said there's room for Hello Kitty behind Brett.
Well, you can't see
I don't think you want Hello Kitty behind you.
It's counter signaling.
Is it?
It's not good.
It's not really your brand.
It's not really my brand.
An awesome person said Crisis Party.
Yes, it did. That is the Crisis
Now we're going to get our
Party.
third.
All right.
Thank you.
Guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? Please and thank you. And thank you to Libby.
Sure thing. Thanks, guys.
Where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Libby Emmons, and you can find me at thepostmillennial.com and humanevents.com because I work on both those outlets every day. Also, I have a newsletter. If you want to hear from me every day, you can. So,
what type of stuff do you put in the newsletter?
So it's actually been kind of fun because I'm writing it up every day.
Mm-hmm.
So I either write most of it before I go to bed or write it in the morning, and it's just talking about like what I think of what's going on, you know? So like today, what did I talk about today? I was talking about culture and the bogus intersection of politics and culture, and how I hated seeing the celebrities wander around the DNC because it was just super cringy. And
but how'd you feel about Hulk Hogan at the RNC?
I also thought it was a little cringy. Everybody loved it.
That's only fair.
I mean, different about the Hulk Hogan because it was also campy, you know, and I kind of liked it was like we knew that it was cringy and campy, and so that made it a little more fun.
Unabashedly Americana in a campy way.
Yeah, than like what we see going on at the DNC, which is just so earnest and sincere about how much better than us they are.
That was such a good, like, if somebody had, that was the answer I would have needed if somebody tried to hit me with the gotcha if they had asked me that question. So thank you. That was perfect.
Thank you. You guys can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived.
Perfect. Guys, if you want to follow me, Instagram and Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. This show is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify if you prefer to listen rather than watch this show. And if you want to follow the show on social media, we're on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook and not TikTok because we were banned on TikTok, at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Guys, tomorrow we will be live with Craig from Side Scrollers. We will be reviewing the new Crow film. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about, so stay tuned for that. We will see you all tomorrow.
We have two more super chats. One from V Wit. Boo, hostage party. You don't have much time left.
Okay.
Shane H. Wilder said, remember Tim Walz is for low T men.
There you go.
That's right. Charlie Kirk was talking about that today, how it's just a low T convention.
With that being said, guys, we'll be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.